All right, guys, Dan Bidondi, TruthRadioShow.com. We are in Foster, Rhode Island, attempted to make Foster number 4 on the sanctuary list for the Second Amendment. To send a message to the governor, we're not going to take a crap no more. That's what it's about. Everybody just filed inside and set up a little stand. Anybody wants to bring canned foods donations for the homeless veterans. We got some people out here and a load of people inside. So we're going to go inside. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
All right. Oh, right on the table, yep.
Yeah, let me get a picture of your shirt while it's sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
Am I in your way?
Yeah, what's up? Thank you. So we're going to head inside. Hopefully we keep the signal here because I had weak signal inside, so thank you. Hi. I like your hat.
High five.
Have a 5. Oh, thank you. So we're in Foster. It's Payne Middle School, Foster, Rhode Island, May 9th, 2019. We're making history of the month of May. 3 towns down. Burrillville, Hopkinton, West Greenwich last night, and hopefully Foster tonight, yeah. Oh, hey, man, what's up?
How are you?
All right. You're not at the...
Not tonight, no.
Me either. My wife and Daniel's here. So this is...
There were 150 submissions, and she was one to be selected. Her teacher at Pontiac, Mrs. LaFeria, encouraged her to participate. And Julie's father wanted us to know that she's an avid writer and a very high achieving student. Currently, she is ranked number 3 out of 200 in her class with a GPA of 4.59. Very impressive. She's a hard worker and always strives to obtain her best academically. Julie?
No, my kids are going.
Oh, nice.
Next, we have participants in helping to clean the roads on Earth Day in Foster. And the first one is World's Best Tiger, Connor Stockwell. World's Best Eagle,
Yeah, what are you? How's it going? Done some luck. Okay, so what's going on there here in town business first, I guess. They're honoring Boys and Girl Scouts for some awards. Then they're going to get to the matter here for the Second Amendment sanctuary. So just hang tight, and when I post this later, I'm going to have the whole edited edition. It'll skip right to the vote.
Thank you. Now we're to the Second Amendment sanctuary. Before we begin, I have a couple of things that I would like to announce. I will accept a motion to approve the resolution. As all motions are made in the positive, I expect it to be in the positive. Both proponents and opponents of the resolution will be allowed to speak. Proponents first, followed by opponents. I will recognize the council members first, then members of the audience. Any person who wishes to speak will go to the microphone provided, his name or her name and address. All questions and statements must be addressed to the council president. There will be no crosstalk in the audience. There will be a 3-minute time limit. You are cautioned to avoid repetitious or irrelevant comments. Personal attacks will not be allowed. Once you have all been heard, the council will wrap it up and make their vote. Any questions on those? Hearing none, what is the pleasure of the council?
Do you want me to read it to me?
Yep. If you'd like
I
to.
think everybody wants to. I think I might need that though, because I don't know if I can reach everybody back there. Can you hear me?
No.
Okay.
Why don't you read the resolution?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I can do this kind of process. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, this is Resolution 2019-06. Resolution of the Foster Town Council, subject Second Amendment Sanctuary Town Resolution. That the Town of Foster, the town, adopts a Second Amendment Sanctuary Town Resolution as follows. Whereas the Town of Foster's Town Council, pursuant to Rhode Island statute and the Town of Foster's charter, is vested with the authority of administering the affairs of the Town of Foster. And whereas the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, adopted in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, protects the inalienable rights and individual rights of the people to keep and bear arms. And whereas the United States Supreme Court in District of Columbia versus Heller, 554 U.S. 570, 2008, affirmed an individual's right to possess firearms unconnected with service in a militia for traditionally lawful purposes such as self-defense within the home. And whereas the United States Supreme Court in McDonald versus Chicago, 561 U.S. 742, 2010, affirmed that the right of an individual to keep and bear arms as protected under the Second Amendment is incorporated by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment and is applicable to the states. And whereas the United States Supreme Court in United States versus Miller, 307 U.S. 174, 1939, opined that firearms that are part of ordinary military equipment or with use that could contribute to the common defense are protected by the Second Amendment. And whereas Article 1, Section 22 of the Rhode Island Constitution provides that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And whereas Article 1, Section 6 of the Rhode Island Constitution provides that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, papers, and possessions against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but on complaint and writing upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and describing as nearly as many as may be the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. And whereas Rhode Island law requires in-state residency, background checks, an 8-day waiting period, and a Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management pistol revolver certification, or blue card, for handgun purchases. And whereas Rhode Island law prohibits all gun purchases, 1, on behalf of another person, or 2, for anyone under indictment or convicted of a felony, or of any crime for which said person could be imprisoned for more than 1 year, or 3, for anyone who is a fugitive from justice, or 4, for any unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any controlled substance, regardless of whether it has been legalized or decriminalized for medical or recreational purposes. Or 5, for anyone adjudicated as a mental defective or has ever been committed to a mental institution. Or 6, for anyone who has been discharged from the armed forces under dishonorable conditions. Or 7, for anyone who is subject to a court order restraining said person from harassing, stalking, or threatening their child or intimate partner or child of such partner. Or 8, for anyone who has been convicted in any court of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. Or 9, for anyone who has renounced their United States citizenship. Or 10, for anyone who is an alien illegally or unlawfully in the United States. And whereas it is the desire of the Foster Town Council to declare its support of the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution and to the provisions of the Rhode Island Constitution, which protect the town's citizens I can't say it for some reason right now, inalienable and individual rights to keep and bear arms. And whereas the Foster Town Council members each took an oath to support and defend the United States Constitution and the Rhode Island Constitution and the laws of the state of Rhode Island, which are not deemed unconstitutional by a court of competent jurisdiction in the charter of the town of Foster. Now, therefore, it is resolved by the Foster Town Council that the town of Foster be and hereby is declared to be a Second Amendment sanctuary town. Be it further resolved that the Foster Town Council affirms its support for the Foster Police Department to exercise sound discretion when enforcing laws impacting the right of citizens under the Second Amendment. Be it further resolved that the Foster Town Council will not appropriate funds for the capital construction of building space or purchase of storage systems to store weapons seized pursuant to the requirements set forth in any legislation if such bill is enacted by the Rhode Island General Assembly and/or for the purpose of enforcing any other law that unconstitutionally infringes upon the right of the people of the town of Foster to keep and bear arms. And then it's adopted this 9th day of May, 2019, Foster Town Council.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion we approve this resolution. Second.
Discussion. I'll recognize the council first. Is there anyone on the council who would like to support? Any comments made? I will make one. I attended West Greenwich's meeting last night, and a Brenda Jacob stood up and spoke. She represents the Rhode Island Revolver and Rifle Association. I spoke to her afterwards. I thought she brought out some very good points that I myself hadn't thought of. She sent me an email with those points, and I would just like to bring them out. That the one thing that I really took point to was that the language of the bill states that the police department, where the person resides, to not only enforce these laws, but to certify compliance, handle registration, and store firearms that have been confiscated, surrendered, or forfeited. This is what the laws are. There are two bills that are in right now. They are House Bill 5739 and House Bill 5741. So they say that in many cases, up to 4 copies of this paper needs to be sent to state police, the Attorney General, town clerk, and residents. We have a very small police department here. For our police to have to do this, it's one more thing that they have to do. Our town, the budget is very tight. If you were at the financial town meeting on Tuesday night, you know it's very tight. It's just one more thing that the state is telling us we have to do. But they don't give us any support for that. I think this was, as it was pointed out last night, I think this is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, taking this away from us, our rights to keep our guns. I feel strongly about this, and I am in support of it. Is there anyone else on the council that would like to say anything?
I'll say something else. I think I need this though, because I can't yell. I got it. I'm obviously in support of this, and this is kind of personal to me. I grew up in Gloucester. My stepfather was a state police officer, so I grew up around guns. My brothers were hunters, some military, so guns were nothing that was scary to me as a kid. In April of last year, my son was actually the victim of a shooting, and just what's happened since then with the process in the courts and the pre-trials, it's been a year, and he was shot through the back window of his truck while he was driving. He was injured, and we're going to court, and recently the judge made an offer of 1 year to serve. First of all, this person was, he had $20,000 bail. They reduced with surety, so it was $2,000. Then he couldn't make that bail after 2 months, so they reduced it to $500. $500 to get out of jail for shooting someone. So recently, we found out that the judge made an offer for 1 year to serve, less the time served when he was arrested, which was 2 months. Basically, he'll end up maybe serving 6 months, maybe, for shooting someone, driving away with a double-barrel shotgun, leaving buckshot in my kid's back. So I don't think that we should be imposing more restrictions on law-abiding gun owners. I think if we're going to do something at the State House, we ought to impose tougher penalties, tougher sentences for people, criminals, who misuse guns. So I'm in
Anyone else on the council in favor? Opposed? Ms. Hall.
I totally agree with what Heidi said at the end. Tougher penalties should be imposed on people who commit these crimes. No doubt about it. Secondly, I grew up with guns. My brother-in-law was a state policeman. I believe this puts our police officers right smack in the middle of this argument. There's no win for them at all. They can't take a side, and they are going, if they act on this, which isn't going to be law, it's just it's a recommendation that we're making to the State House. If they acted on that, they're going to be in violation of the law. And I don't think that's fair to put them there. And secondly, I think that I don't even know how to say it. I think that these kinds of things that are in opposition to everything that's going on in the State House, and believe me, I don't like a lot of the stuff that goes on there. And we should act in opposition when we feel strong. And I see so many of you do, and that's your right. I feel strongly the other way. I think that this puts a spotlight on our small towns, because it's going to be the small towns that are going to vote on this sanctuary. And it's going to say, the people of Western Rhode Island, out there in the picks of the sticks where we are, here they are, gun-toted. This is what they believe in. These are the things they stand for. It isn't all you believe in. It isn't all I believe in. And I hate labels of any kind. And I don't like to see more labels put on our town. It might be a small argument, but it is an argument, and it is the way we're perceived. And that isn't who we are. I don't want my gun taken away from me. My father, if he were here, wouldn't want it. But I don't believe this is going to pass, number one. And number two, I don't think that is the intent. And that's, I don't believe in this sanctuary. Yep. Thank you.
Anyone else on the council that would like to speak during the meeting? Hearing none, I will open it to the public. I will ask that you please come to the microphone. I'm taking those in favor first. Come to the microphone, state your name and address. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Dan Bidondi, resident of Hope, Rhode Island, Cranston. And basically I want to mainly address, because I know some people got doubts, because I heard them from other towns, sanctuaries don't mean nothing, this is nothing but a feel-good thing, but I just want to reiterate history. Right where we all reside today, 250 years ago, over 250 years ago, this state led the world in what liberty is. You're going to right here in Rhode Island, the sanctuary, for example. People say sanctuary is a feel-good thing, a resolution is a feel-good thing. Right here in Rhode Island, Roger Williams created a safe haven, a sanctuary, if you will, from British tyranny. You could come here, be a Christian, be a Puritan, whatever religion you want, and you were allowed to carry your firearms without the British confiscating them, and no taxation or representation. So where did that lead? to this greatest nation today. So now people say a resolution. Resolutions don't mean nothing, it's just a feel-good thing. But the historical intrinsic value of it, a resolution does mean something. A resolution created the Declaration of Independence. The resolution created the greatest document in the history of mankind. What we all swear today is called the Constitution for the United States of America. And I understand you're great men and the police officers, but there is, you know, we all want to follow the law, absolutely. But here's the whole situation. Now, if the governor says, all right, tomorrow I want all weapons confiscated, she makes it a law. The Constitution, however, states any law that's repugnant to that automatically becomes null and void. She can have it law all day long. But these officers, I took a sworn oath, and I'm sure all of you took a sworn oath on the Constitution first. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So basically, the police officers are saying, all right, do I honor the government's tyrannical law, or do I honor the oath I took on, and I'm sure these guys served in the military as well. So they're going to be, either way, regardless, they're going to be put in a position, if this resolution passes or not, to honor their oath or honor a tyrannical law. And I'm 100% sure that these gentlemen here, they're going to honor the oath they take. You know, they took and defended this country in a great town here. They're risking their lives every day to defend this town, our liberties and everything else. So I'm asking the town council, and I know you're concerned, man, I really do, but please understand, resolution is very important to this history, the whole country. I mean, we here in Rhode Island, you know, a lot of people don't really absorb that well. Here in Rhode Island, we led the entire country against tyranny, and unfortunately, we got to do that again. It's unfortunate. I understand. And I know about spotlights and everything and titles, but you know, history. I will finish with this. History only remembers two kinds of people: people who were tyrants who seek to destroy liberty, who read all the history books, and two, people who stood and risked everything they had, no matter if they get labeled what, whatever the cause was. The history remembers people who stood for liberty and freedom. That's the only two people history remembers. So I ask you, you know what I mean, like, all due respect, whatever, but I ask you, please, I want you in your name, because someday when we write the history books of these times, okay, I want every one of your names to be on the right side of history. Thank you. God bless you.
So I do want you to know that. Okay, thank you.
My name is Walter J. Anthony Moore.
Could you pull it up and not hear you all?
My other wife, you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. In another life, I was in special operations. And one of my assignments, I was assigned as an intelligence officer. I went to Fort Howard, Maryland, to intelligence school. And at Fort Howard, we got into the long-range strategic plans of the Soviet Union. Part of the long-range strategic plans of the Soviet Union was that they were very concerned about invading the United States of America. And the reason that they were concerned was that after they conquered the United States military, they would have to fight an armed conflict across the United States because we were an armed nation. And every time we do something to reduce our capability to carry arms, like private citizens, we enhance the long-range strategic plans of our enemies. I'm not a member of the NRA and I don't belong to a gun club, but I'm still an American. Thank you.
A little bit more 3 minutes, but while I'm discussing something, I just want you guys to just look at this for a minute, hand it down. Just look at that and hand it down. Some of you know what it is, some of you won't know what it is. But I'll dovetail to that at the end of my story in a minute. So, I'm also a member, as my wife explained, that my son was shot in the back in April. You would think I'd want more stringent gun laws, but no. Along the same reason as her, I think the state has plenty of laws on the books, and we're just not enforcing them enough. We're letting these people go, but they want to turn around and they want to start going after because they need to find an answer. And they won't listen to the answer, if we know what the answer is, but they'll turn around to try and say, we got to do something, is they'll stop making more laws. Now, a resolution is simply a resolution. It holds no binding weight anymore and everything else. So some of this is pretty much semantics. But if you're going to say we're going to have to enforce things, I just put something on the table for you to look at. Now, let's say, and this has happened before, there's been an accident in front of somebody's house, and maybe it's in the winter, and the person's cold, and they go outside and say, come on into my house. It's nice and warm in here. We're going to call a rescue. We're going to call a police department. You all right? Yeah, I'm all right. Well, let's stay in a nice warm house. And that little piece of plastic that I just gave you is sitting on top of the countertop or sitting on top of the kitchen table. And Officer Tyler shows up. And he may know that person because he's worked in the town 10 years. Well, close enough. It may be a volunteer firefighter. It may be a DPW worker. It may be somebody on the planning board. But he goes into that house because he was called because there was an accident. And he sees that piece of plastic sitting on the kitchen table. You know what that piece of plastic will be if it gets passed up at the State House? That piece of plastic, if you want to make sure they uphold the law shut, will force that person in that house to be charged with a felony. Criminal up to 10 years in jail, almost. I remember the kid that shot my son was only going to get a year. But if we pass them laws, and then we finally realize, you know what, we really got to stop being tough on the real bad guys. That means all the laws. You can't pick and choose. So it is important that we do fight these bills when we show up, because Officer Tyler may have to arrest somebody in this room that he's known for a long time. He knows he ain't a criminal. He knows he's an upstanding guy. And that guy's going to get charged with a felony, 10 years in jail, and probably $15,000 fine. So this is important we bring this up. So when they finally figure out we got to get tough with the real reasons, these people are the ones that are also going to get tough too, because you can't pick and choose. So it's where we make a stand. And there was a lot of sections in the Rhode Island Constitution. Probably one of the most shortest and poignant ones is Article 1, Section 22, that you guys quoted in your resolution. And I don't want to, it's only about 6 and a half long. And it's simple. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's probably the shortest thing of all the Rhode Island State Constitution. So I hope by that little presentation I gave you on the table, you'll understand where this state is going. So we have to make a stand, and we got to stop this. And this, you have the governor that said they should lobby the State House. This is true lobbying right here on a local level. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Tim Baxter, resident of Spur Road here in Foster, and I'm not going to take a lot of your time. I appreciate you people staying late at night and hearing what we have to say. I just want to be recognized to say, much like the Rogers, I don't believe that the laws should be punitive to affect the law-abiding citizens. I think laws should have consequences for those who break them, and I believe we have sufficient laws on the books to guard against the same crimes that they're talking about, either further restricting and making felons out of normally law-abiding citizens. The people with concealed carry permits, they are vetted. They go through extensive background checks. You people know. The police department here in Foster does a great job. The police departments across the state do a great job to make sure that people that go through the process have thorough background checks. So we're talking about people that are willingly conforming to the law. We're not talking about people that wake up in the morning and think about how to game the system and break the law. So I just ask that you help us support the law-abiding citizen and don't further restrict us by passing punitive laws that would do so. And I appreciate the support of the resolution, and I'm proud to be a Foster resident, despite you guys actually proposing this. So, thank you very much. Bob Salisbury. I'm from Moosup Valley. I'm a lifelong resident of Foster. About the only thing that could get me up in front of a microphone in front of people is the Second Amendment. And I'm not political in any sense of the word, but the only thing that, one of the only things that I will vote for a person for or against them for is their stance on the Second Amendment. I believe that that gives us the right to protect every other right we have, and that's exactly what it's there for. And that's why I vote for people and why I don't vote for people. Thank you.
Thank you for your service, sir. Thank you.
I'm Dave Lyon. I live on Boswell Trail in Foster. Two things I want to say. First of all, Rhode Island has, I believe, the 6th strictest gun laws in the union already, so I don't see a need. This is a declaration to the State House that we feel that gun laws are sufficient. Second of all, I have a collection of World War II firearms, most of which I got as inheritance. And this kind of resolution would mean that part of my life, part of my family, would be taken away. So think about it from that angle as well. Thank you.
Manny Linares at Plainfield Pike in Foster, Rhode Island. So as a man of my own convictions, I enjoyed Councilwoman Heidi as she read that very difficult word for myself to say, unalienable. So what that actually means, at least to me in Minneapolis, is actually a right that was granted by something higher than people. It was given to us far beyond an individual handing us a right. And that is the lifeblood, or lifeblood of what the Constitution means, especially to me. And I think that every resident here in Foster is actually watching each and every one of you to see how you all vote on this, because this protects us. And this protects us even in the sense that it might be just a resolution, but we're going to watch how each and every one of these votes to protect us. And we're all going to vote ourselves in the upcoming years to ensure that we keep putting the right people in your seats to keep defending our rights. Thank you.
I'm going to let the next two gentlemen speak, and then I'm going to ask those that are opposed to it to come up and speak. Okay, thank you.
My name is Leonard Watson. I'm a native-born Rhode Islander, although I now reside in Hemlock Village for about the last 7 years. And I agree with this young lady here that we don't need more stuff, but we have to stop them in the arms of the bad people. When I was in the service, spent a lot of time overseas. And when I was in the service back in the late 50s, the early 60s, in Turkey, if you was caught, there was a lot of bars. And of course, being in the service, you knew them all. But at every corner, there was a cop. If there was a bar on that street, and when you come out of the bar, and this went for the locals too, it wasn't just servicemen, but it was their country's law. You come out of the bar, a cop would stop you when you got to the stoplight and smell your breath. If he smelled liquor on it, he was immediately transferred to the police station. In the morning, he was put up before the firing squad. He was shot, and then your body was sent back to the respective people, either the base or the people. That was the law. There was no difference. I know that's hard. I mean, you have one beer and somebody smells breath. But there was no drunk driving in Turkey. And so today we have to face the reality of, do we make hard decisions or do we go with the flow? And I understand that I'm an old man and times change, progress expects change, but there are some things that cannot change. And the safety of our children, our citizenship, is to me the most important thing there is. And so when you go to the polls this year and you vote, if a man is running and you know that the most important thing to him is a vote, then vote for the guy that is representing you for you. And it's just so important, and I can only relate. I used to be a big smoker. I don't smoke anymore. I haven't in years for one reason, and I know some will agree, some will disagree, but I think it hits the point of where your hard choices are. I loved my wife. She never smoked. She died of cancer. I don't know if it was my smoking, but secondhand smoke has been proven to be a bad thing. And I just would like to say that the same way with the gun control laws, the representatives are looking for votes. They're not interested in us. Right now, there is no punishment for people in America if you're a criminal, only if you're a victim. The criminals are either sick or diseased, or they have a problem, and they always get away. The victim lives with it forever. So it's like smoking. If that cigarette to anybody that's still smoking is more important between your lips than your child or your wife's life, then there is no possible way you can make me believe that you love them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did a little research on
Could you give us your name and address, please? Thank you.
Stephen Atariani, 37 Cuban Road, Foster.
Thank you.
I did a little research on the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. They used to talk in British common law, and today that means infringe means violate. And World War II, they had people's militia because we sent so many back home dead and wounded that they had to call the people's militia out to watch the shores. They had their guns, their ammo, and they even gave them ammo if they didn't have it, and they watched the shores. And so we still had, at that time, a people's militia. And 2 subs were sank in Narragansett Bay due to their lookout. And it's in our forefathers' time, it's the same in our time. We have tyranny and oppression. Somebody trying to tell us what to do, we know what's wrong. So it's one of them things that it could just, or it could go the other way. Because it's like a tinderbox right now. I'm not saying it's that far, it's close. And at least having a sanctuary, you have your guns, and if something happens, you know, invasion or whatever. Because the Democrats that have sanctuaries, I'm not saying all Democrats are bad, don't get me wrong, but all the governors that have sanctuaries, they're using them sanctuaries to get votes, so there'll always be a Democrat in office. And last year I read several times that we paid $271 million to a sanctuary that gets more than we could ever get. We can't even get some of the stuff they get. Because, you know, you make over a certain amount, you don't get Medicaid, you just get Medicare and Social Security. And our tax money to fund it.
Thank you. Now open the floor to those opposed from the audience. Is there anyone who would like to speak?
God bless you.
State your name and address, please.
I'm Lauren Nidell Brush. I live in Gloucester on Camp Street. First of all, it is very intimidating up here, even though I ran for office. We know where people stand in the town. I certainly know where people stand in the district. I've spoken to a lot of people over the phone. I canvassed everybody in Gloucester. I know where people's hearts are. I understand where everybody's coming from. But this resolution is really poorly conceived. And there's so many reasons why, and if you don't mind, since I'm the only one here, I'd like to go through kind of some of the things that
Actually, there are
I've heard
several people here that would like to speak. They didn't stand up in line, but there are, you can see their faces.
Okay, great. A couple of things that I'd like to address. First of all, no one is taking away anybody's guns. There's a grandfather's clause in any of the bills that are in the General Assembly right now, so nobody's guns are going to be taken away. Secondly, this is not a sanctuary state. There is, I think, maybe just Providence that was declared a sanctuary city. There are no states that are sanctuary states. Individual mayors have gone ahead and done that. All the bills right now in the General Assembly are basically in committee. So they're just being studied. There is none of these bills are probably even going to make it out of the committee to be voted on by the full General Assembly. I would recommend that if any of these bills that people are concerned of are voted out of General Assembly and voted on, that's when you have then you can make a resolution that you are against this particular bill that has been approved. So I think there's a lot of misguidedness and misconceptions over what is in the General Assembly, the bills that are being, that are out there, and I think it's important for people to know the facts. The second, one of the other points I wanted to make is that who has read the resolution besides people here when it was read too? And it was brought out. People will see in northwestern Rhode Island, sanctuary city, Second Amendment sanctuary city. What happens if somebody comes to the town that hasn't read the resolution, doesn't know that it really is just kind of a nuanced guideline of what the town would like to be and how they feel that the Second Amendment should interrelate within people's lives. What if they say, well, this is sanctuary city. I can go to Old Home Day, or in my town, I can go to Ancients and Horribles, bring my gun and have open carry. Who is going to read the resolution? This is true. Who is going to read the resolution? The resolution can be easily misinterpreted, as everybody here has a different interpretation of what the resolution is. I've heard everybody say different things about it and not read actually what is in the resolution, which is basically just saying, preferably we would like to say that we're as a sanctuary city that we still have to follow all the guidelines of the state. The police still have to follow all the guidelines that the state has allowed for the to uphold laws. The police can't have discretionary say, well, I don't want to follow this Second Amendment bill because we're a sanctuary town here. So the whole purpose of this is really just to divide the towns up. So we know, like we said, I'm not going to vote for this person if this person is against this resolution. It's a divide and conquer mechanism. It is not something that was organic to the state. These resolutions are an agenda item of a far right-wing organization that's spreading across this country and hitting the smaller towns like ours, like Gloucester, like Foster, like West Greenwich, like Hopkinton. And it's...
Excuse me, I'm going to stop you now so that other people can speak, and you have that 4 minutes.
Thank you. And I just want to you know, say against, totally against.
Thank you. Mrs. Breyer.
Hi, Lynn Ryder. First of all, I didn't see on the agenda that this is a debate about the Second Amendment. And I would just like clarification of one thing, and that is by passing this, and I am a supporter of guns, I am a supporter of the Second Amendment, but when I read this, if this council should vote to approve, I just want clarification that if they do that, they are declaring that despite what our charter says, both for themselves and for our police department, where they are supposed to uphold the statutes of the state, they are declaring that they will not uphold the statutes of the state. They will not encourage, but they will not require their police department to uphold the statutes of the state, and that you will be behind your police department financially and legally should something hit the fan. Because I've had many people say, you know, friends, they say, well, what does it mean to be a sanctuary, Second Amendment sanctuary town? And I believe it's in the enforcement. It has nothing to do with the Second Amendment as far as, you know, do you approve, do you not approve? It's will the town knowingly declare that they will not enforce state laws should they be written. My other comment, and I think Ms. Hawes had a very good one, is we are at the point, Foster's at the point where we were trying to develop and broaden our tax base with business. We hope to be able to tap into help from the state. Quite frankly, you know, and it shouldn't be that one relies on the other, but I believe that she is right that this will just put Foster a little further off the path to getting any kind of support, monetary or any other kind, from the state of Rhode Island. And it's just a question, is this something you want to fall on your sword for?
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition?
David Violet, Gene Allen Road. I just have a question before I comment. Are we talking about not enforcing state laws that the council and the police department deem to be unconstitutional, or are you talking about federal laws as well? Such as bump stocks?
We're not talking about bump stocks. What the thrust of the resolution is that what the thrust of this resolution is the state is giving the town another mandate that they're not going to fund. So what Foster is saying by this resolution is that if they're not going to get any funds to go out and do this type of work, then the state's going to have to provide them money to do that, to set this stuff up.
So if the state was willing to provide money, there would be no sanctuary city in Boston?
If the state's willing to provide money, possibility.
I don't think that's the case.
Why, don't think the state's going to provide any money?
No, I don't think that's why this is up here for vote. I don't think it has anything to do with monetary.
Well, that's just my opinion, so I could be wrong.
I stated that I think our police department is worked very hard now. It's a small department. To add one more thing, and they're not going to give us money. Let's face it, they haven't given Foster or any of the other towns that, if it's not Providence, if it's not Central Falls, if it's not Cranston, we're not getting the money. And I don't see it coming because we don't do a Second Amendment sanctuary.
I'm not really up here pro or against gun. I'm, I guess, here against the town council deciding which state laws they're going to follow and not follow, under the guise that there's a constitutionality appearance here, because I think the the town council, and no offense to the town council or to the police department, shouldn't be deciding constitutionality. The Supreme Court decides constitutionality. There's already been an assault rifle ban at one point in time that was challenged multiple times, and none of those challenges were upheld. If it's illegal to have red flag laws, let that be brought up at the Supreme Court and shot down there. I mean, I just think this isn't real. I mean, this is not why this is being done, right? It's not about constitutionality but nothing that's been proposed by the state has been deemed unconstitutional. So why is the town council making the police department decide on a case-by-case basis what it is and isn't constitutional? I mean, I don't think that falls within their purview. I don't think it falls within the purview of the town council either. Because, I mean, again, Second Amendment, this is not about the Second Amendment for me. I guess it just seems like we're in this vicious cycle here where if we don't like the people in power, we're not going to follow their rules. You know, and right now the Democrats have the state, and they have for a long time, and I get that. And the town of Foster is mostly Republican, and there's a level of frustration that they're not represented. And I understand that frustration, but I don't think that gives us the right to say, you know what, we're sick of not being represented, we're not going to follow your laws anymore. And that's what I see here. And again, for me, it's not about guns or not guns. I have no issues with assault rifles. Personally, I don't have an issue at all with the red flag laws that were passed because I think it's self-enforcement because the red flag laws in Rhode Island, the petitioner has to be part of law enforcement, right? It has to be a state or local law enforcement agency that brings forth the petition to the Superior Court. So it seems counterintuitive to say that we have to protect against that. If there's no basis to bring a petition to the Superior Court, then the police wouldn't have done it. If the local police brings it, so we're saying the local police is going to petition the court, get the rights, and then refuse to enforce those, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I just think that this is a slippery slope.
Thank you.
Note the question.
Thank you. I'll take a vote. We have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. Sorry, I lost all your votes.
I move to enter executive closed session pursuant to General Laws 42.4, as stated, and General Laws 42.5.
You going that way anyway?
43.46-5A2.
So Sherry Rowley, quite the string. I saw that story too. Doing an investigation. Officer in charge. She'll be there till 9. So just walk in and say hi. All right. So you going that way?
Yeah.
Wow. Looks like we're in the
Town number 4.
I was going to go speak, but then they said that.
We can only hope, right?
So the people spoke against it, uninformed. You can see it. I mean, like, they don't know about it.
Who wrote the Bill of Rights?
James Madison. James Madison.
Refusing his own law.
I'll take some of that too, right there. All right.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I tell people all the time that 10 First Amendments are unalienable.
Because it says shall be must, okay? Not.
Yep. Thoughts, right? What's up, man? What's up, brother? Thank you.
Right, that interface that.
Oh, thank you. All right, so guys, Dan Bidondi here. In May 9, 2019, Foster here has become the 4th sanctuary city for the Second Amendment. And as I clarify my speech, what a sanctuary is and all that good stuff. And so, yeah. I mean, some of these people that spoke against it, you could tell they're highly uninformed of what sanctuary or resolutions mean. Resolution created the Constitution, created all that stuff. And people just misguided, that's all. You know, the anti-gunners. People crazy, man. You can tell they have no clue what the hell they're talking about.
You know, like all these people that don't understand history.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. This is a whole
sure, if you asked
value.
them easy history questions,
Yep.
they'd have no clue how to.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand that the First 10 Amendments are unalienable. You know, the Bill of Rights there.
All right. See you.
Take care, man. Hey, take care, brother.
Good going again.
You
Dave.
too.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Wait, 10. So town number 4 on to Gloucester, man. On to Gloucester, man.
You need me?
All right, guys, we're gonna cut out of here. I guess everybody just wants to go home because we were here for a while. But yes, Foster here, number 4 now, Second Amendment sanctuary, and I'm gonna do a whole video on defining what a sanctuary is and what a resolution is. But long story short, hey, what's up, Claude? What's going on, man? A resolution led to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence. So the resolution is not just a feel-good thing. It's not just a thing. Thank you. Take care, guys.
Another one, brother.
Yep, number 4, baby.
There you go.
We got
Keep
number
'em
5.
rolling.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's the importance of what a resolution is. Resolution created the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. It created the Bill of Rights. So resolution is not just a feel-good thing. And a lot of people that spoke against us today, you could clearly tell they're uninformed, don't know history. They don't know any of that stuff. So I'm sure they're good people, but they don't know enough to preach against it. And you can hear them when they talked. I mean, they had no clue what the hell they were talking about. So once again, here in Rhode Island, May of 2019 here is taking the Second Amendment world by storm. And I hope and pray that cities across the country could lead, take our lead as we led the revolution back in the 1700s. Take care. So hopefully we can lead a nice political, peaceful revolution here once again to save the Second Amendment against the onslaught. And I wanted to also, too, when people say law, you got to follow the law. Well, you know what? Again, when a law is declared that's unconstitutional, it becomes null and void. I mean, I don't know how much clearer people can't understand that. I really don't. Anyway, Dan Bidondi here, TruthRadioShow.com. God bless. declaring war on the New World Order. TruthRadioShow.com.